Hi everyone, welcome back to the Nature Patch and welcome to 2022. This is the first video and I'm trying to get back into the regular Sunday uploads, and I thought what better way to start out the year here on YouTube but with another garden vlog. I've got my peppermint tea here in my new mug that Scott got me for Christmas. We always like to give each other mugs on Christmas and it's a nice little tradition that we have, so I'm really happy with this little gift. And I thought I would bring you around the garden today and share with you what I'm up to. It's going to be kind of a garden with me style vlog. I've got a few things that I need to harvest, so I've got my basket with me, and I'm also trying to wrap up some of the garden beds that had a lot of spring and summer annuals in them that were no longer growing very well. So I'm trying to just take out a lot of the plants that are dying, and I'm probably going to, over the next few days, plant some more seeds throughout the garden just to fill in some of the patches. And I'm doing this even though we are moving in a few weeks. I didn't want the garden to be completely bare. I am kind of the gardener in the household, so I wanted to make it nice for our family members and to grow a little bit more food for them while we're gone. So we'll see how long I last here with some of the rain that's coming, but I really wanted to be outside this afternoon because it's actually super cool and refreshing and there's a beautiful light breeze, so I need to be in the garden to make the most of that. So I think I'm going to do the priority jobs first, which is harvesting a bunch of the beans and corn and some of my rosellas, so I'm going to get onto that first. So this is a little overview of what the garden is looking like at the moment. It's nice and full, but there are quite a few weeds throughout the garden. This is the first thing that I'm going to be working on and harvesting is some of these rosellas in here. These are usually ready to be picked when they're about 2 to 3 centimeters, and I don't have enough on here. Well, technically I do. I could make a really small batch, but I want to make a really big batch of my Rosella jam. So what I'm going to do is actually pick a lot of these that are ready, and then I'm going to freeze them. And freezing rosellas is a perfectly fine thing to do if you don't have enough rosella calyxes to make the rosella jam. I'll put a link in the description box for my recipe that I use. It's one of the best performing videos on my channel and I'm so glad that so many people love the recipe, but I am really missing it in the kitchen, so I really want to make a batch for myself. And to freeze these, what I'm going to be doing is separating the green seed pod, which is inside the rosella calyx. I'll put an overlay of what this looks like, freezing that separate to the kind of flesh or the fruit, putting them in different containers and separating them both. And that's important when we're making the jam, to be able to make the pectin, which is basically the sticky substance that kind of brings the jam together. Picking these from the plant is really simple. One thing that you do want to kind of take note of, these plants get aphids really easily, so you might see some ants crawling over them, but that's perfectly fine. I am just going to try and bypass the ants, and they'll come out when I give these a rinse. But all you need to do is just pull back one of the calyxes slightly from the plant and snip it at the base, making sure to just leave a little bit down below, and that just makes it easier when it comes apart to keep all of this kind of flesh red material together. So that's about all from this plant that's ready. I'm going to go down and see if any of the other ones are ready on the other plants. I hope you all had a lovely Christmas as well. We definitely did. It was a really nice chill day. We went and saw Scott's family for a Christmas lunch. But my favourite Christmases are just kind of relaxing at home a lot of the time. Definitely like to have a bit of a relax and read a book. And eat chocolate and all that kind of stuff on Christmas. But I am excited for the new year with the move and everything, and also creating a lot more content because I'm going to be finished my PhD. I'm still going to be I'm still going to be working, but I will have a lot more free time to be able to create content. So that is what I'm harvesting from the Rosellas today. I'm hoping to get at least 4 times this much when I'm making a batch of jam. I'm not going to be making too much this year, just enough for us, and it's the most delicious jam ever. Right, while we're down here, I may as well pick some of the corn. This corn has done exceptionally well. And I'm putting that down to all of the horse manure that I put into this bed. We grew potatoes in here before the corn, and then I piled on a lot of semi-rotted horse manure, and that's definitely why I think the corn has grown so tall. So you want to start harvesting your corn when you start to see a lot of the tops drying off and going brown. And the really simple way to harvest the corn is just by grabbing it from the top, pulling it down, and then giving it a twist. I'm actually picking mine a little bit sooner than I otherwise usually would. Usually I would let this dry off even more. You can kind of see it's still quite light there. But we have had some cockatoos come in, and they've just been snipping the bases off a lot of the corn plants and then eating the corn. I saw one the other day literally fly off with a corn cob, one of the smaller ones, and I kind of had to run after it, the cockatoo, and it dropped it, and it was kind of a hilarious moment. I don't want to run the risk of a lot of these going to the cockatoos. As much as I love cockatoos, I would like some for myself. Now, I know these are pretty well done and formed because I did pick one the other day. But one way that you can check whether your corn is ready, you don't have to take the entire cob off, but you can peel back some of the outer layers and you can pierce any of the corn kernels. And if what comes out is juice that is a little bit cloudy, then you know they're ready. You know the sugars have matured enough to be ready, and then they're ready to pick. So I'm going to pick a few more of these and hopefully have some for dinner tonight. Right, I picked all of the outer corn around the edges, so hopefully the cockatoos don't go for the middle ones. But they're all looking really beautiful and feel nice and firm all the way up. So I'm hoping that the pollination is going to be good for all of these. One of the other jobs that I really wanted to get done today was to propagate this comfrey plant. It is really easy to propagate comfrey, so I'm going to show you how to do that because I really want to take some down to our new place, just because this is a really healthy plant and I really love the flowers on this. So I would like a lot more down where we're moving to, and I'm also probably going to propagate this around some of the fruit trees in the garden as well. So for propagating it, all you want to do is really gently lift it with the base. I'm just using a garden fork to kind of like pry it up out of the ground, and then we're going to separate some of the roots. I'm also going to just snip some of the leaves off and use this as mulch. Depending on how old your plant is, I only planted this last year and it's a pretty manageable size, but you just want to shake any excess soil off, or alternatively you can kind of keep half in the ground depending how it comes out if you want to, you know, keep some in the same area. My guess there's probably a lot of roots in there still that are just going to grow again, because with comfrey so much of the plant is just going to regrow. So that includes all of these roots are going to sprout new shoots if you chop them up. You can chop them, a few centimeters in length and plant them in soil. They'll grow again, or alternatively, you can break the entire plant in half. This is a little challenging because the plant is so compact, but I am going to try and do that method. But you can kind of see in here all of these kind of sprouts that come out from certain areas of the roots. You can separate these and they will become brand new plants. So that's kind of what I'm going to try to do with this mess. So I ended up getting a lot of suckers and roots from this comfrey plant. This one here is a pretty good example of something that I was after. You can see it's kind of like a little pup or a little tiny plant coming out of the main plant. It's also got a large root attached to it, and this is going to be really great to propagate. Some of the other ones, like this one here, don't have a large root, but they still do have some coming out, so this one will also probably be fine to propagate. And what you want to do, I was kind of pulling these off really roughly, but you just want to snip the very top of this cutting to make sure that you've got a nice clean cut, and place that in your pot or soil or wherever you are planting comfrey. And I also ended up getting some roots like this, and like I said, what you can also do, which I'm going to trial doing this as well, I'm planting a lot of these around fruit trees, is actually just snip the root, and you can plant these in the ground. You can start to see there's already some smaller roots coming off this, so this will also create another comfrey plant. Comfrey is a really great plant to have in the garden as it accumulates a lot of the nutrients in the soil. I did a video a few weeks ago on how I make comfrey fertilizer, which is a fantastic fertilizer for your garden, or you can just use the leaves as mulch, which I am going to be doing on a lot of my fruit trees, and the leaves contain a lot of essential nutrients for plants to thrive. So I'm going to quickly propagate these and plant some roots around some of the fruit trees, and then get on to one of the last jobs that I have to do today. So I've planted the comfrey at the very base of this veggie garden. You can plant it within and around your vegetables, but it can have a tendency to take over everything. So I do like to plant it on the very edges or around the bases of fruit trees like you saw me doing. And that way you can kind of use it as a little bit more of a hedge or a chop and drop, and move it around the garden as you need. while we are down here, I actually planted some trees with Scott the other day. We planted our Christmas decorations that we had out on the balcony, which are a mixture of black cypress and kind of like she oak, casuarina style trees. And we just planted these around the base of the native woodland that we kind of live next to, in the hope that they'll create a little bit more of a feature, because this is the direction that you look from the house. So I wanted a little bit more of that rich green colour around here. It'll also help to shade out some of the weeds that are popping up around, because I do see quite a lot that are popping up. So just creating a nice canopy will hopefully help with any weeds that might want to grow in this area. Had a little break from filming and I want to finish the last job that I wanted to do this afternoon, and that is picking some of the bush beans. I've been coming out here kind of every second day lately because there are so many beans on these few plants. I think there's only about 5 plants here, and what I like to do with bush beans is plant them on the very edge of the beds so that it's really easy to just come in and grab them as you're walking past. They're also a really great companion for corn, and these are right next to the corn. They're a nitrogen fixing plant, as a lot of legumes are, and they're just really productive, so you don't need that many. And each of these plants have been producing like crazy, and it's really good to come and pick them every few days just to keep the production going, or else the plant ends up putting a lot of its energy into saving the seeds and growing the bean pods really large. I like to pick them when they're not too large, so that they're not tough and they're nice and sweet. But I have been picking bowls and bowls of these beans and giving them away to family, and tonight I'm going to be making a bean salad. So I'm going to play around a little bit with the recipe and see what I can come up with, but if it's any good I will end up sharing that with you. But yeah, I'm just going to continue picking these and then probably call it a day. Great, so I think that is going to be it for today. I only really needed a small bowl because I have a whole other container upstairs in the fridge, and I do like to pick as I need and let a lot of the smaller beans continue growing on the plant. The last thing that I did want to share was just what's happening with the end bed in this veggie garden, which was my flower garden. I recently cleared it out the other day because a lot of the flowers were just getting a lot of powdery mildew and other kind of fungal diseases on them. So a lot of the zinnias really needed to come out, and it was just their time. They are all annual plants that I planted in there, majority of them. I did keep a few in there, such as the turmeric and some of the dahlias and asters that didn't really get a chance to grow around all of the other plants. And what I'm going to be doing now is I've just covered part of that bed with some homemade compost. I do have another tumbler ready to be emptied of compost that I'll be putting on the other end of the bed, and then I want to just cover it with some mulch that I'll go and grab over the next few days. But for now I am just going to be putting some of those comfrey leaves over that compost, and then just chucking a bunch of different seeds in there. I have some sunflower seeds, zinnia seeds, and a lot of other annuals that haven't already been packed and put in the removalist truck down to our new place that I wanted to use in this garden, because I always do love to leave a place a lot better than I found it, and I just hate seeing bare patches of a garden. I don't know about you, but I feel like it needs some love and some life in it. So I'm going to go upstairs and enjoy my beans. Scott has cooked us a delicious looking pie for dinner, but it has been really nice to be able to come out into the garden and enjoy the beauty that it has, enjoy all of the beautiful crickets and the birds around, and just relax, because it has been so hot lately. So this has been a lovely reprieve from the hot weather. I am definitely going to be doing a garden tour before we do our big move, so look out for that over the next week or so, because it is really productive at the moment and I wanted to share the progress that we've made before we say goodbye to this garden and move to our new home. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're all having a lovely day wherever you are in the world, and until my next one, happy gardening everyone. Bye!